It's Shadow Clock, everybody, here on Deep Dive Zone, the Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Evan, joined by the rest of Team Dark here.
Is that what we are now?
Featuring my co-hosts, Lauren and Bruce, Matt and Sid, our guests, and we are continuing with part 2 of Shadow the Hedgehog. And for the first time, we are going to do something other than run straight to the end.
It's a miracle.
What? Well, what's the opposite of a miracle? Just like a very unfortunate accident.
True.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about actually having to play the game.
I did
You know
feel
what?
a couple times.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm so excited, and then it's like, oh, I have to play more Shadow. It's like, oh no.
I think that's the standard Shadow experience.
Yeah,
At the very least, this is not the game I complain the most during.
This game is odd in that it kind of, it almost lines up to be sort of a 5-story campaign if you don't count the repeat playthroughs. You know, if you could almost say it's like an adventure game, but, you know, all of these stories are theoretical. So we're doing the quote-unquote neutral dark playthrough here.
Which, what the fuck is that naming convention?
I
Well,
prefer
I mean-
semi-dark.
I just call it dark and then, like, true dark.
It's
I feel like
neutral evil versus chaotic evil.
No,
I
I
don't even
get
think it's
that.
neutral
agree.
evil versus chaotic evil. It's just
I guess Shadow
committed to
is
being
chaotic
evil
in
versus
all of them.
casually evil.
Yeah, that's a good way to
This is
put
the
it.
casually evil Shadow.
Yeah, this is Shadow being a casual bastard. True evil is Shadow actually kicking
at
puppies.
peak bastard.
Yeah. But thankfully, we have less stuff to go over, since obviously you guys already know how the game plays. But, you know, we get the same cutscene as the start, since we're technically restarting the run. It's like a roguelike, except not random.
That would be an interesting Sonic game.
I have
It is
seen
yet another thing that this game is almost.
there is a mod in the works to randomize which levels you go through.
Okay, that would actually be interesting.
It would be an
Questionable, but
experience,
yes.
that's for sure.
Well, I'm not saying
Yeah,
it would
I
be good, but it would be interesting.
If it was like true random, it could be kind of messy. Cause
Oh,
you're
yeah,
like,
no.
Oh, it's like I'm on this level. It's like, well,
I guess
I'm
that would
just
just
gonna
mean
wipe
that it doesn't make a
because it's
difference
awful.
what mission you do, though.
Yeah, it'd be
I
kinda-
Yeah.
guess.
To be fair, it
I
wouldn't
don't
feel that
know.
much more disjointed than the normal game.
True.
Seriously.
Indeed, because speaking of missions, we're getting into the actual gimmick of this game, which is that what stage you go to changes depending on what you do in the level. And most of it is scavenger hunts.
Yay, scavenger
I mean, hey, it's almost
hunt.
cool.
Is
it's
it?
either- Is it?
It's almost
It's-
cool.
I
It's
don't
funny
even think
'cause
I'd say
we were
almost.
We were talking about how it's like, oh, we don't have to run to the exit anymore, when sometimes that's still very well the objective.
True,
But it's either
it is.
it's either run to the exit or it's scavenger hunt most of the
Kill
time.
Yeah,
or
but now you're
find
glad to see me
something.
run to the exit.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of the
Yeah.
scavenger hunts aren't too bad, but they don't make them equally. So
Well,
We'll
they
see
don't
soon
start out on a good foot, because here, you know, we're back in
Mhm.
Westopolis, as usual, but we're doing the Dark Mission, which means you have to take down, what, 35 gun soldiers?
Yep.
40. I thought it was 45.
I think it's 35.
I think.
Okay, well that's better than what I thought it
45
was.
sounds ludicrous.
Okay,
it's
I
a
want to be
multiple
clear.
of 5.
I want to
Yeah.
be clear here. Me and Sid are both playing the Shadow Reloaded mod, which does change the
True.
counts on some of those.
True, and I played, and I think
Ah.
the rest of us played the original.
And I'll get to that mod later.
Yeah, it makes
I'm
other
working-
things worse,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'll have
it is-
stuff to say
it is
about that.
30 Why would it is you 35 use that actually. mod?
because it's meant to be balanced, but it's not balanced. Anyway, the problem,
Nice.
the sole problem with all of these missions, okay, not the sole problem, but the big problem, is that you have 35...
That was one and only problem.
You have 35
Yeah.
gun enemies. It counts the beetles as soldiers. But you have
Sure.
to take down 35 of them, and the level contains exactly 35 of them.
Yeah, the level should
Cardinal
have.
sin.
Yes, it really needs to have more.
The thing with that though is that sometimes they do have more, but they're very thick and
Occasionally,
juicy.
they're
There's like
very
an
thick and
odd level
juicy.
where they have like a handful of extra ones, and you're
Yes.
like, oh, that's weird. But
Oh,
too
in
many
fact,
times,
there's a
you're
level
trying to
later
find
on in
the
this run-
one gun soldier that's
Yes.
just hiding in the corner for dear life.
Yes.
Just like,
Yeah.
please don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Such a great idea.
completely sucks all speed out of the experience as you slowly crawl through, not wanting to have to backtrack if you miss one.
Oh, don't worry.
Unless
you're
you're
going
me
to have
and
to
you
backtrack anyway.
had to backtrack.
Oh,
You'll still have to, don't worry.
Oh yeah, no, I crawled through Westopolis 3 times so far. Or 4, I guess 4, but only counting 3. And I've had to backtrack every single time.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
sped through it.
yeah.
I still had to backtrack, but like in my defense, I was trying to hit as many of the gun soldiers as possible with the Jeep.
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
that's fair
you were
reasoning.
playing the true experience.
That is the
Yeah, I
true
was playing
Shadow
as
Hedgehog
intended.
experience.
It was
Listen.
the Shadow hit and run experience.
They
Struggle
wouldn't
as
give you a
it,
Jeep if you weren't supposed to run over gun soldiers in the Jeep.
struggle as it may to appeal to him sometimes, I think that Sid is the person this game was made for.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Oh,
just dog
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you just gotta be a, what's it called? Like a crapophiliac or something?
Oh
I-
man. No, but it's not great though.
No, it isn't.
Because I mean, like, I'm trying to get A ranks right so that I can get expert mode right, and so
For some reason.
eventually, for some reason, and it gets to the point eventually where you don't crawl anymore, but you do like the super walk, where you're just
Oh,
like,
yeah, power walk?
You
yeah,
speed
you're
walk
power
through
walking.
every level.
You're like power walking through the levels, and you're like, you know where the enemies are, but you can't go too fast because you're gonna miss them, and it's better. Like, you can still beat the levels relatively fast, but mind you, like, if you're doing, like, the blind run, you've never done it, there's no way you're ever going to be able to pull that off. And
God, no.
more often than not, you're going to have to backtrack, or you're going to just have to restart the level because it's just too much to, like, scour every inch of the map for that enemy.
Yeah.
It's rough. And it's apparent in this level right at the start, so it speaks volumes of what's to come, right?
And it illustrates the other problem with the binary moral choice system in this game, because, you know, these are the hero missions versus the dark missions, which I guess technically not killing gun soldiers is the good thing to do, but, you know, like, they're assholes.
I mean, is it?
Well, we've established Gun is equally incompetent as they are assholes, so it's like,
Oh,
you're really
Shadow.
just putting them out of their misery.
Keep in mind, the game doesn't actually punish you mechanically for killing the opposite story's
That's
characters,
true.
as long as you don't kill them all.
It's more
That's
than
true.
If anything, it rewards you, because, like, I desperately needed weapons from whoever was nearby for most of this playthrough.
Yeah.
It's more than that. This is part of the problem, is that no matter what you do, from level to level, you will be held up and blocked off by enemies within your own alignment who will attack you,
Yes.
Yep.
meaning you
Well,
have,
And it's
yeah.
very counterintuitive.
you have to hit
It
people
is.
that are quote-unquote on your side, and your annoying partner will always scold you for that, even though you have no choice.
Which is definitely a choice. Someone made that decision, and it happened.
Yeah.
And not only that, but, you know, if you care about score, you know, which Matt does, attacking enemies and objects of the wrong side will give you a score penalty for the mission that you're doing.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, there is a mechanical penalty, and I just didn't realize
Yes.
it.
I had to actually I had to read the manual for it to tell me that that was a thing, because besides that, they don't really advertise it too well. Because you could get into the semantics. It's like, oh, well, don't they show it in the score result screen? And it's like, not exactly. It's
They-
like
They
they
don't explain
they
it.
show the value, but they didn't actually tell you that we're going to subtract it. Like, I guess you could, like, if you look at the screen quick
Yeah.
enough, you could to tell. But like, they play it so fast and then they just move on.
Well, and it's
why-
like,
why
how are you
isn't I
gonna
just
know?
press
It's
a
like, I
button?
don't know. I don't know the
Yeah.
fucking time bonus for Metal Harbor or something. You know, it's like, nobody's gonna just
Mhm.
remember that.
I think it says in the manual that it's like any mission, it's like if you beat it below, like, I think it's like 10 to 12 minutes, you'll get some type of time bonus. And obviously the faster the better. But once you hit like 10 to 12 minutes, you get nothing. You lose! Which usually means
hold
you'll
on.
never get an A rank, but there's very few exceptions where that's not the case and you could still get one. You know, the last thing we did right was we did the neutral path right. And this is the first opportunity we get to try it, but they give us the suck gun to try out in this playthrough.
Oh, yeah.
The vacuum
Yes,
gun.
the chicken gun.
I always forget this game
And
has
I was-
unlockable weapons.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was so confused as like the vacuum gun. It's like, what the heck is this? And it is quite a magical item. That is
It is the
very
best,
useful.
terrible, strongest, terrible item.
It is
Yes.
it is supremely useful for weak enemies.
It is, like, blatantly overpowered and also completely garbage. I love it so much.
Yeah, anything other than that, you have to just toss it on the ground and, like, homing attack them.
I don't think I used it much in the playthrough, but like I did use it a handful of times, like in Westopolis, and it was pretty funny.
It's really good if you're trying to play the game as little as possible.
sure.
So it's the optimal weapon to use.
It's
Oh,
also
yeah, absolutely.
It's also a nice Billy Hatcher reference, which is a game we've threatened
True.
to play on this show multiple times and then just haven't.
We're just gonna keep threatening to play that game. It's easier than actually playing it.
I don't even know if we'll have time for nights at Christmas this year. I think we probably won't. So, we get the Gun Commander cutscene again. He sucks. We got it. We're over it. But his random
Those
hatred
Black
of
Devils.
Shadow is justified this time, since we just beat up a bunch of his dudes. Shadow does more of that in this next cutscene.
Yeah, there's actually follow-up.
But not well enough.
The whole gun plot evaporates in the neutral story, but here it actually has some purpose.
Semblance. Yeah.
A little bit.
I like Shadow floating in midair as he kicks these guys.
Like, because you have the intro where he's like going
Right.
ham on like some of the black arms. It was like it reminded me of that, and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's like they do that in the cutscene.
But in the intro,
That
he's
was about it.
teleporting around with chaos control. He's not just floating, like Dragon Ball Z style.
Right.
I mean,
True,
Shadow's
true.
entire thing is that he's never cared about how physics work from the very beginning. That's the most consistent thing about Shadow is fuck physics. They don't matter. This man teleports, he floats in the air, he does whatever the fuck he wants. Gravity and physics have no hold over him.
You know what? Fair enough. He's entitled to it.
Yeah. So Black Doom rewards us for this by teleporting Shadow into cyberspace so we can hack the CIA's mainframe.
While being
I-
very unimpressed with Shadow's ability to beat up Gun and thinking he should have beat them up better.
Yes.
Eternally disappointed no matter what you do.
Yes, but I just found it funny that, like, you beat them up and then Doom's just like, nah, you should have beat them up better.
It's weird that there's the whole cutscene before, but then they don't bother to actually explain. You're like teleports into the computer place. I guess you just kind of appear there. You can assume that you were sent there, but
Is it that
There's
he
no direct
teleports
lead
away
in.
and then the level just starts? Is that what happens?
yeah,
'Cause they have a
it's
lot
a
of
little
levels
abrupt.
are though,
That's
right?
being shot.
Well, that's a lot of weird things, because I know for a fact this game was linear when it was first developed, and I'm guessing they probably rearranged it bit by bit as they went through the late stages of development.
Them.
Oh, I see what you mean. There's a level we might talk about later, and that would kind of support that theory
Yeah.
potentially by if you're doing
Because
that one and then or that
we have-
cutscene and then leading on into this. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have here Digital Circuit, a computer level, continuing on from our Sonic Advance theme, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is
mean-
from Sonic Advance.
Yes.
It's not
The
as good
thing
as
is-
one
Well,
of the Sonic Advance levels.
it does look neat enough. Got decent music, decent aesthetic. But
Yeah.
the thing is, in the Sonic Advance levels, they're like Eggman bases, I guess. But
Right.
here, I'm confused. As I said, there's no lead-in. Are you like plugged into the Matrix? Is it something else? There's a Chaos Emerald in here. How did they just lose a Chaos Emerald inside their computer net?
That's a really good question. That
Sometimes you just lose things.
Well, it actually makes perfect sense in that you ever lose something because you placed it somewhere where you would never ever place it. Who
Oh
would
my
place a Chaos Emerald in cyberspace?
inside inside of
Exactly.
your
You put
computer.
it down for 5 seconds, walk away, and then immediately lose it.
You put it down for 5 seconds, and suddenly it's on your hard drive.
Yeah, I guess just digitizing matter is a thing in this universe. That's
I mean,
all.
it
hell
has
yeah.
to be.
I mean, it's not true. It's just okay. I guess that's
Weird.
just a fact of this universe. It seems a bit far fetched, but then it's Sonic, so I don't know.
And, like,
Yeah.
every character acts like it's completely normal. Like, yeah, we're inside a computer now. That's what it is.
Yeah,
As
Rouge
I
is
said,
here,
they don't even bother to explain.
and she sounds more
Just a
bored
Tuesday.
with being in a computer than anybody I've ever seen in any fiction.
Well, yeah, Rouge shows up.
Yeah.
It was very confusing. She sounded like she didn't want to be there. It was like, oh, hey, Shadow.
I mean,
I'm
hey, I
here.
get it. I didn't want to be there either. That level caused me physical pain.
Really?
Every so
I
I
often.
hated looking at this level so much. My
Oh.
eyes were, like,
Oh.
bleeding.
You,
I mean,
the
that's
big
Mm,
culprit,
too much
the big
strobing for
culprit,
you.
I think, it's the giant bright green platforms because everything else
Fair.
is fine enough, and then you just
It-
have like violent green, and it's just like my eyes. It's like
It's
what
just
happened?
that everything's too bright and there's just too much going on.
Whole
Like,
ass
as soon as I
neon
load
ice
into the
cream.
level, I'm like, okay, I hate this level already.
I think that's where I draw the line. Is just the giant green lights everywhere, which they don't use them everywhere, but they use them for like platforms and like the floating bars. Everything else I could kind of put up with, but like if you're more, I guess, sensitive to that type of thing, right? It's pretty egregious at that point.
Yeah,
But
well,
I do have
mean,
to give it credit. It's the first game since 3D Blast to cause me literal physical pain, so
Oh wow, nice job.
good job, Shadow.
Get the seal of approval.
Well, and it graduated from the Twilight Princess School of Bloom everywhere, so...
Ooh.
Uh,
The level itself is... it's kind of bland. It's not the worst I've played. I'll say my biggest problem, it is those green platforms, but it's not the fact that they're too bright for me. It's the fact that they appear in front of you, but their collision appears before they've actually moved into place, so you can just run into nothing.
I never
Interesting.
encountered that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
guess
I
if
did
you're
either.
going way too fast, like how Sonic was intended, right? That probably happened. But bumbling around through the levels, right? And you're like, I don't know what's going on. Like it's already loaded in. No, but those platforms though are a pain though, because kind of compounded with the camera and just like in general, like I don't think I really noticed much drop shadow where you're like jumping up in the air and your shadow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice that too well, so it was kind of hard at first to like do those jumps. When I first started the level, right, I was so excited because the aesthetic seemed kind of cool, and then I proceeded to lose like most of my lives just from like kind of jank platforming.
I felt like I was on an ice rink for this entire level. Like, I was sliding all over the fucking place, even by shadow standards.
That's really interesting.
You didn't struggle with this stage, Bruce?
No, not particularly. I mean, it felt like it.
Of
it
course you
went
did.
on
It's the
too
stage I
long.
did.
Oh, right. It's always the contrast.
No, I mean, it felt like it went on too long, and maybe there was. I think right at the end, I struggled to.
Okay,
But for
yeah.
most of the stage, it was fine. Kind of
Well-
remind me of Edgy Tron.
That is one thing, is that this is the better kind of mission in these stages, in that the dark mission here is just to go a little bit past the goal ring, and then there's a thing you have to shoot.
Right, and I think I struggled just getting up to the thing to shoot it.
Yeah, climbing
Yeah.
the tower, you'll get knocked off.
Yeah, climbing
well,
the
not
tower
even
sucked
that,
ass.
The entirety of it was just kind of rough, right? Because like you have to do that weird like a light warp jump, right? So you like jump on the light pillar, landing on a block that like you have to land on just right and dash into it. Otherwise, you have to do that all over again. And then you have time like floating green bar jump puzzles with rotating blocks, and it's just a pain. 'Cause
Yeah.
if it was just one thing of just that lasts a little bit, but it's like they compound upon it just like little bits at a time of just obnoxious. Or even like you have to like spin dash up like a ramp or whatever, like a bounce pad. That's also annoying.
Yeah.
Just weird. Why did they hate you so much to want to do the dark end? They're like, oh, you want to do the dark end? It's like, all right, well,
I
gotta
have
put
been
all the bells
feeling
and whistles now.
a lot of the dark missions seems harder than the hero ones. I don't know if
I
that
mean,
would be
isn't that just kind of Dark's thing in the Sonic franchise, though?
It's just hard.
That's
I
true,
guess
actually.
between
Like,
this and
Heroes,
SA2.
Dark was harder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in SA2, certainly there were a lot of hard dark stages.
Yeah.
Although that one's harder to judge because, like, Final Chase is annoying gravity platform, but so is Crazy Gadget, so... Anywho, we get the President cutscene again. I made my jokes last week. I don't think I have anything for this.
Feet and pictures.
Yeah. And Shadow...
What more jokes do you need?
Shadow exits the internet into an Eggman base.
Which, okay, how the fuck did we get here? Like, I don't know how we got into the computer in the first place. Why does government computer exit into Eggman base?
Eggman has a back door. Don't worry.
Yeah,
That's
Eggman
exactly
Does
split it up
Eggman
with
is
them.
I
government?
mean, well, here's the thing. I think we've talked about before that Eggman clearly is part of the military-industrial complex. He
100%.
funds the government, or
If
funds a lot of the military.
If
Well,
we're making that argument...
He works
Well, not
for them.
funds.
They
He works
fund
for them.
him. He's the only
Yeah,
way.
well,
They're
I
the
would,
only way he
and I
has
would
the price.
assume it's through like Shell Corporation, so they don't know they're buying from Robotnik.
Well, so what we could
Probably.
say is that if we say that Eggman is at some level involved with the governments of the world, and if we say that Cybertrak and
Technobase.
Technobase and Cybertrak, if we say that he had anything to do with either of those, maybe he built the entire cyberspace infrastructure that we're in. If anybody
believe
can
it.
do it, it's Eggman.
I mean, yeah, I dig that. That makes sense.
Is Eggman just responsible for, like, most technological innovations in the Sonic universe?
It's
'Cause that's
entirely
just,
possible.
I think that's where I'm at.
I think he very well could
Everything's
be.
invented by either Tails or Eggman, and no one else does anything.
Or
Well,
Jared.
if Tails,
Well, yeah. As soon as Eggman showed up, he made all the advances except for Tails. this stuff.
Right. Well, I feel
Must
like
have
Tails'
aggressively
stuff,
taken out like every other intelligent person on the planet first.
I feel like Tails' stuff is also like very much just he made it for the specific situation.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Tails is
He
still
doesn't-
just like a tinkerer.
Right. He's not like going around
He
being
doesn't
like
work for the government yet.
right. Yeah, he might
Yeah.
maybe if he
Oh,
has
that's a
good
dark
days.
future.
He's going to join forces with Eggman and form Lockheed
That's why
Martin.
Sonic cared so much about like when you kill guns. Well, you don't kill them because they just fall down and like
That's
they keep on
right.
like begging for their life. But like
Yeah, don't
that's why
forget.
Sonic cared so much. He didn't want you to shut off Tails' future job prospects.
Oh no.
Oh.
Tails, you need
Sonic-
to work for BlackRock.
Well, hey,
Oh
Sonic's just trying to save up for Tails' college fund.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
getting
Tails-
Tails
more
just has to
accurately-
get all the certificates.
Right.
Sonic's just trying
so-
to get Tails an education so we can take Tails' money and do whatever the fuck with it.
So as for the level, though, one thing I'd like to ask real quick: why does he have like a spooky Halloween castle? Like,
That is a good
Well, you
question.
see, Eggman bought up Pumpkin Hill and built a castle on Pumpkin Hill.
You know what? I'll live with that.
Eggman's bases are always wacky themed. I don't blink at this at all.
You know
Like,
what?
he already built one in pyramids, so
That
like,
is well, yeah. You know what? I have it could be explained just as easily. He just bought the castle.
yeah, like
you should
Yeah.
have seen
Eggman
my
has impeccable taste for architecture.
I mean, look at him.
Um,
Of course he does.
Because you start the level, they don't do like an establishing shot, right? So you're just like, oh, we're in a castle. You're looking
Right.
at the interior, and you're like, oh, I was super foolish. I was like, whoa, are we gonna get like Resident Evil 4 castle vibes? And you open the door, and it's like, no, we going spooky up in here, and it's
Hell
like,
yeah.
oh,
I
it's
want to
like,
hear about
Movie.
Yeah, this is a recurring spooky vibe. We had the castle and heroes. Obviously, Pumpkin Hill was mentioned. So this is just, it happens, and I'm all for it, honestly.
Yeah.
But the plot is the thing that's confusing me here, because Shadow is like working for the Black Arms basically up until now, and then he's like, "Wait, it's Eggman. Maybe he can tell me about the black creatures." Or you could just ask them what's their deal.
Why do I never ask follow-up questions?
Like
Yeah,
you
we've
haven't
kind
even
of
tried
lost
that.
Plot.
Lauren, I know where like you're getting lost with the plot. You didn't suffer enough blunt force trauma while playing the game, so you can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotta go smack my head against the wall. 10 or
Yeah,
20
yeah,
times.
you're too many brain cells for this game.
Well, this
You
level,
think
Come
too
down to the
hard.
game's level.
you can get here from the neutral pathway, can't you? If you do neutral on Westopolis and then do dark on Glyphic Canyon, that would take you here too, right? So technically,
Yeah.
I think they wanted a cutscene that could sort of work.
but like,
yeah.
there's not even a Eggman related foes in that stage. It was just Gun and Black
It
Arms.
doesn't
I'm not saying
matter
it's good.
which
No.
route you're going. In every route, Doom's Eye is like, "Hey, Shadow, do this thing for me." So he's always there to just be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
like, what's your deal? Where are you from? What do you got?" Like, that's a
Right.
pretty obvious question when some evil entity comes and is like, "Go do this thing for me." You ask like, "Who are you? What do you want?" But not Shadow. He doesn't care. Except he'd rather ask Eggman about it for some reason.
Well,
I
yeah,
think
who would you trust? Someone who you know is in their best interest to lie to you, or a starfish?
Honestly, I would have
Right.
written it off as like, say you do Westopolis, right? And like, it's funny we're going back to Westopolis, but like,
God.
Oh, we'll be doing that a lot.
oh god, it's like it's like the game. No, but say you go back to Westopolis, you do the dark path because you know, as per the intro cutscene, it's like, oh, I guess I should help him out to find out who I am. You do that, and you get to ask the squid, the starfish. You're like, hey, what's up? And he'll be like, oh, I don't have time to explain, but sure, I will, you know, if you keep helping me. Because obviously it's a fair question why why doesn't he ask? I think
Right.
the thing is that, well, why would he tell him? Of course he's not going to tell him, you know what I mean? So he's got to rope him along more because, you know, he's a bad guy. But they still should have like shown that though, that like
Yes,
Shadow
that would have
is
been
like
better.
actually, I think that's the big
Right.
problem. Is that like, yeah, it's like he's just kind of bumbling along wherever he's going. And I
It's
guess
like-
you could defend it that he's asking off screen, but that's not good enough. Like
It's like Metal Gear Solid 1, how like
Hmm.
Snake knows that he's being lied to early on in that game, but he has to keep going because what the fuck else is he gonna do?
right. It's you can't just leave.
Yeah.
Um,
So, Cryptic Castle, the
Crypt-
actual stage. Eh. You know, it's
I got
another.
dropped by a bat.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, they have
Aesthetically,
that
I
same
like
flying
it,
bat level.
but it's also not aesthetically unique. Like we've seen this repeated
no.
over and over in Sonic, and I am down for
Oh,
it like
no.
every time. Like I'm
Mhm.
always down for Spooky Month, but
I think.
gameplay here is I wouldn't even say rough. It's just bland.
Yeah.
I think what ultimately lets this down more than any other part. I don't love like the flying bad bits. I don't love how much time you spend just
No.
like on the pumpkin lift things that just float around solely. The thing that
Yeah.
kills it is right smack dab in the middle of the level. This bit where you're in a stone maze of shifting doorways and torches to light and walls to blow up.
Oh yeah.
Where you have to blow up a wall to run and grab a torch to run to the other side to destroy another wall to light the torch to open the door
Oh.
to get a hallway.
Yeah.
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 And they have the wall that's like moving on you as if it's like gonna crush you, but it can't because it only goes so far. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's
If
such
it
a
weren't
weird
for that
bit.
sequence, I would enjoy this level a lot more. But that bit just takes so long each time. That's like, ugh.
It
Yeah.
takes long, and it doesn't feel like it's doing anything by being there, other than taking time.
Yeah, it's not like it's hard.
It's not hard. It doesn't really like add to anything like thematically to the level.
No.
You know, perfect example. Why does it even take multiple hits to destroy the wall? You don't need the bomb to do it. You can just punch it. But
Right.
why do you even need it? Just have it crumble. That's what older games would do.
Yeah.
We do get briefly Amy here, but we're not doing her mission. This is the only level she's in.
Yeah. I guess
God,
same.
she
like,
just
ways
gets done dirtier every game. Like after SA1, it just keeps on getting further and further
I mean, it's
downhill.
somewhat of a blessing that she's not in this game that much because
Yeah.
she can't be super badly written.
She does. Yeah,
That's
she doesn't
true.
have time to act terrible in this game. She's
Yeah,
just
they can't
looking
fuck
for-
her up if she's not in it. But like,
She
ow.
lost Cream at Disneyland. That has to go find her.
Basically, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like, yeah, I guess you get like 5 seconds of cream and cheese if that's your jam, but not for our current run. That doesn't make a
Right.
whole lot of sense, but they exist.
Does,
Oh,
does
They
well,
Cream
do
like,
in
even have
fact
a line?
exist.
I don't remember. uh, maybe. I think
Yeah.
either she says something or Amy says something when you save her. They have a budget Chow Garden.
Yes, that's true.
Chow Garden.
It
at
has.
home.
It does have the quintessential Chow Garden experience of accidentally injuring Chow. So
True.
Or
Oh,
intentionally
yeah,
injuring them.
true.
I'm glad they carried over the worst fucking part.
Well, that if you want to build up your dark meter real fast, that's the perfect place to do it.
I don't think I
Worse
could bring
than
Light
doing
myself
level will only go
to.
so far.
I don't think I could bring myself to do that.
Well, you're
Yeah.
not truly role playing as Dark Shadow then.
You know what? I don't think I
Well,
want to
we're
be Dark
only
Shadow.
we're only somewhat dark.
Yeah,
casually
we're
dark
only
was what we
we're only
said.
mild.
True,
at
neutral
best.
dark. True.
We're casually
Neutral
evil
Dark
now,
Shadow
so-
wouldn't beat up the Chow.
So a week or
Exactly.
two from now, when you're doing hardcore evil, then you have to kill all of them.
Yes,
Okay, hold on.
absolutely.
I gotta replay my run real quick. Hold
It's
on.
like
gotta
that
go
scene
in
in
there.
Revenge of the Sith with the younglings.
Help us, Shadow. They're everywhere.
You gotta get the chicken gun, and you gotta absorb all the Chow into the chicken gun.
Okay. I guess one thing with that, right? Since it's Eggman's whack ass spooky Halloween Spirit Halloween castle, right? Why does he have a Chow Garden like that?
Same
Oh,
reason
Eggman
in
likes
SA1.
Chow.
No one ever said Eggman doesn't like chows.
He definitely
Eggman
does.
loves Chow. He had so
Yeah.
many in jail cells in SA1.
See,
That's
here's
true.
the
He
thing.
did.
Here's the thing: is that when we talk about this castle not originally belonging to Eggman, I think that's canon. Because I think he acts surprised at the Chow Garden when you get in here. I don't remember if that's true,
I don't remember.
but he definitely acts surprised at the very end of the level, where you flip up some side of a board to get into some rails, and Eggman's like, "I didn't know this was here," and then you get chased by this giant skeleton thing.
Yeah, what is this
I
Dark Souls
Fucking
3?
hate the end of this
By
level.
Lord
I
Wolnir?
despise the end of this level.
What
I
is
think
that?
I made the skeleton despawn, or
Yeah,
like
you went really fast. I saw it unrendered.
yeah.
I don't know how you. I died so many times at this spot. I did not have a good time first try. It
Yeah,
was-
I
didn't
hated this
die.
because it just felt like, oh, I chose the wrong rail. I'm dead.
Yeah,
Oh.
Well, it was that, and then there was times where
Oh.
I'd jump off the rail entirely, like I would accidentally air dash, and I was like, "Why? Why did you do this to me?"
yeah. The wiki calls this thing the Giant Walker, but the model and textures are so low res, You literally can't tell what it is. It doesn't even have eyes.
It looks vaguely like a skeleton. That's about it.
The textures are bone, but yeah, it's just completely random thing that we never learned. This is the true villain
It
of
is
Sonic.
the
right here.
Skelly Man.
Yeah, there's a
It's Skelly
weird
Man.
there's a weird thing that they're starting to do more now. Like it started, I guess it started way back in Sonic 3 with like Labyrinth, but there's always been like weird supernatural, I guess, but like specifically with ghosts.
Oh
Forces
yeah.
in Sonic, because obviously there were the ghosts of the dead animals in Labyrinth, but then obviously
Right.
in SA, was it in SA1? I can't remember if there's anything in SA1, but definitely in SA2.
Oh yeah, there's
'cause-
ghosts everywhere in SA2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a whole stage, and there's even a boss battle. And I didn't think too
Multiple
much of
stages
it,
have tons of ghosts in SA2.
but I got thrown through a loop a little bit here because Eggman like acknowledges them at one point. He's like, "Oh, stupid ghosts thinking they can haunt my castle." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. Are these more than just a game mechanic? Is there actually lore attached to these things?" Like now I'm weirded out, and I'm like, "What is the deal with these ghosts?"
Oh,
Really?
you were gonna
like,
love Sonic X.
oh,
Oh, no.
okay, you've got me interested now.
Spoilers. Oh boy. Oh no.
I think it's totally applicable to say that in both this and SA2, it's a case of Eggman moved into a place that isn't his, but it's abandoned, so all the spirits are coming up from underneath the woodwork to say, fuck you.
Yeah, they're
and we have to
angry. It's
deal
like,
with it.
no.
Ghosts might be an essential part in making his robots. Like,
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, they
If-
used the little animals before. Why not just use ghosts?
It's powered by death!
yeah, ghosts seem way more cost effective than animals.
There's a lot
Yeah.
more of them.
Yeah.
Shout out to the ghosts that they were an annoying trap in the level. You fall down, you've hit, and there's just a bunch of ghosts. Not really fun.
Yeah.
That is all.
All right.
So that's that stage. And I say that it's the only stage Amy's in, and that's true, but we do, after this stage, no matter which mission you do, we get another egg breaker fight, and Amy always comes along with you for it.
Amy's just really lonely.
I
And
suppose.
Despite joining you throughout the level, you had all that time to ask you. Only now Eggman is just like, "What are you doing here, Shadow, by the way? I forgot to ask. Get out of here."
I guess he meant in his boss arena. It's like, hold on, what are you
Oh.
doing in my egg breaker arena?
Yeah.
Hold on a
Get
second.
outta
I was
here.
expecting Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
is fair,
works
though.
on 0 levels. I guess neutral is probably like the most narratively convenient, but either way, you're either obeying Eggman's orders and being attacked for it, or you're leaving Cream the Rabbit to die and Amy tags along with you anyway.
Well,
doesn't
I don't
work
know.
either way.
You freed them for wherever spot they were at, and they're like, "Hey, you can find your way home." It's like, I'm out of here though.
Yeah.
Shadow doesn't.
Ask-
Shadow can't
ask
deal with
Tails.
children. It's fine.
Just call Tails. He'll pick you up.
Yeah.
But Eggbreaker is indeed one of the bosses of all time.
Yeah.
Back
It's-
at it again from the neutral run.
It's not as bad as the Iron Jungle version.
It was. I mean.
Oh,
There's
true,
no-
true. Because the Iron
bad.
Jungle, the whole thing was with the camera and like the turret, and just like he was on a
True.
platform. But
There's-
this
yeah,
one,
there's
it's
no
on like a
first
flat
phase.
plane
This
the
is
whole
just-
time.
Yeah, it's just he swings at you, you run back, you hit him, basically.
Yeah.
My entire notes on this is just lights out written over and over and over.
Yeah, that's my note for this fight too.
There's a lot of
Did I write
lights
that?
out.
I might have actually written that down too. I don't know.
I don't know
Hold
what
on.
the fuck is with them. And like, hey, what if we give Eggman a voice line for an attack and we just have him repeat it for the entire of a fucking fight? But like, this is not the first time and it is not the last.
It is certainly not the last. Get a
But,
load
like-
of
I
that.
didn't write.
SA1, we have the get a load of this. Like,
Well,
give Eggman more lines, please. I'm tired of hearing the same one on repeat faster than the line can end.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Well, and
besides
we'll
that,
see it's not
pretty
exclusive to
inoffensive. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the fight's it's boring, but at least it's not as frustrating as before.
It's
Yeah.
painless. You kind of just get done with it. You just grab a gun and then just kind of have at it, you know.
Yeah, you shoot him really hard.
Yeah, instead of causing pain, it just wastes time.
Yeah.
Which might be worse than causing pain.
I don't know. There's some
you
bosses
haven't
that I
had
feel like
enough
do that
pain
worse
to
than
say
others.
that.
Like
Maybe.
Egg Dealer, like Egg Dealer in the previous one, I feel like does that a lot worse than Egg Breaker. I feel like that's more of a waste of time than
guess.
this.
Yeah, but at least it
more
was my
annoying.
first time fighting Egg Dealer last time.
Yeah.
True. We haven't redone it yet. But yeah, I mean, besides that, there really isn't too much to talk about. I mean, they reused
Yeah.
the boss music, and I didn't really like Egg Breaker's boss music anyway. So
Yeah,
it's just
it's-
kind of there.
The guitars sound whiny in that. I think we said that last week, but
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's just not much to say. I think.
yeah. Well,
I
then
think
we
we're
won't.
probably good to move on
let's-
to the cutscene.
Yes. Hey, a CG scene.
Hey!
Yes.
Fuck
They still
yeah.
look nice. Shadow is he's a bit sad. He's walking in the forest, wherever the hell that is. This is not a level in the game.
You know, the forest.
Yeah.
Forest.
Wait, is this
Uh,
Green Hill Zone? No.
No, we're not on South Island.
Oh, dang it! I thought he
But,
just took a quick trip.
Black Doom decides to give us a hallucination of the worst day of his life to cheer him up, I guess.
Yeah, as you do. You know,
Or
homies feeling down, you just put them into space.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if you're ignoring the actual reason just for comedy or not.
it's to reaffirm
But
his
there is
hatred
a
for
reason.
humanity.
Yes.
It's not
I-
just
but
for
I-
the pranks, bro.
I feel
He
like
has a point.
that's like not super obvious though.
Once you get to the
I
end,
mean,
it
I
don't know,
definitely is.
I think
I mean,
Okay, yeah. Okay, excuse me. When you get to the end of it, it is. But like
Yeah.
initially,
Maybe
it's
not
just like
sure.
initially, it's like Black Doom's like, bro, I'm gonna give you a PTSD attack.
Yeah. Shadow's head turns
Yeah.
180 degrees like an owl in this
Okay.
scene as well.
I'm glad you pointed out because that is in my notes. That is one of the few notes I have about this cutscene. Is why the fuck does his head do that?
You know,
Why?
it's a quick, snappy little animation. You know, it doesn't work, but it's not supposed to. It's like the Elsa hair clipping thing. You know.
Are your
my
bones
God.
like more malleable the more evil you become?
I mean,
Yes.
yeah, sure, why
Shadow
not?
This is the true part of
stretches
being
his
evil, your
body like a
bones must-
motherfucker, no matter what in this game.
That's true.
Oh, true. Oh gosh, it's literally this stage that's coming up that
Yes.
has this. The knife.
Yes, let's
Okay.
let's get
We'll-
into that.
we'll get
This
to that,
is
though.
this is the Doom, a stage where you actually get to play through the raid on the space colony arc, which sounds like an awesome idea.
It is
Oh,
an
it doesn't.
awesome idea. I have to say
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's an
Like,
awesome
the
idea.
is
True.
perfectly solid.
Yeah.
The concept
Practice,
cannot
however,
fault it.
In
I
practice,
even wrote down. Yeah.
it is a level made entirely of 90-degree angles and the same hallway texture and horrifying 3D Maria model.
What's wrong with your face?
I got
What
as
is the
lost
eyes?
in this level as I do like walking around cities in real life.
It kind
don't
of
even
feels
know.
like a city.
Well, I
You
mean, it
don't
was
even
the
know.
space colony arc, but there's a thing that you do where you like, make concessions for the sake of gameplay, and they just forgot to
Sure.
do that, I guess.
Oh gosh, Devin was there with me. I got lost in this level for an hour straight.
Well,
It
I
was
remember.
horrible.
I was there
you were
also,
there
but I
too.
didn't
Yeah,
watch
you were there
it.
too. So I think
But
I
yeah.
was trying to bumble around the last little bit, and I think what happened was I died and I lost 30 minutes worth of progress, or like on the timer, and then 30 more minutes went by. It was bad, and then
This-
the game crashed,
this
so I had to
level-
start
Oh,
over anyway.
Oh yeah, that's right. The game crashed.
Yeah.
Not
This
great
level-
for first time run.
This level is a maze. It is not a Sonic stage.
I had to quit it the night
No,
I was
it's-
originally doing my playthrough, come back the next morning with a video of someone going through the stage playing on my second monitor and just follow it step
Oh.
by step.
I mean, you know what? That's fair enough.
The walls of this level, occasionally there's a screen with a map on them, but you can't follow that shit. How are you supposed to know
No.
which direction anything is?
And the fucking hint bubbles being like, oh, if you pay attention to the map, you won't get lost. Like,
Like, where's the map? It's on the wall, dumbass.
Maybe if they changed the pause screen for this one level so that when you press pause,
Yeah.
they had a map on the side. Maybe.
It makes
But they
it
don't.
cathartic and also hilarious that you have Maria running around next to you at full Sonic speed, I might add.
Mhm.
And she
And
could
jumping.
literally- She could literally get shot by gun soldiers in this level, and she just goes, and then she gets up.
But you see, it wasn't the magic bullet, the silver bullet
right.
that would end it all.
Was
So it can't
Maria a
happen.
werewolf?
Yes.
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 Well,
She was the first werehog.
Oh no,
keep in
Deep
mind,
lore.
this isn't like actually happening. This is an altered flashback.
Right.
It's like a simulation, I guess, that Black Doom
True.
put Shadow in because he
Yeah.
can interact with it and change the outcome as Black Doom wants in order to like bring about, more rage or whatever.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Well, yeah, because in the actual one, you could tell that Maria's a werewolf, and this one is kind of hard to see.
Right.
Yeah, this one she looks more like a
Text-
gray.
No,
That
but,
is-
but
I mean, yeah.
that's totally right though. Where it's like Black Doom is manipulating the heck out of Shadow.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, most certainly is not the person you should be trusting, right? And so, I mean, the further we go along in this path, and he succumbs to that manipulation, right? You know what I mean? The trickery.
I mean-
we see that more and more throughout the campaign, I guess. The run.
Black Doom's even better at gaslighting than Eggman, and Eggman's great at it, as we've seen in this game.
Yeah, Eggman's the
Yes.
king of gaslighting, at least in this
And
game.
then Black Doom just
Oh.
out gaslights Eggman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so this stage, along with its Funhouse Mirror Bizarro World double from a different playthrough, are generally considered some of the worst in the game. I think that's not too
As they
controversial to say.
should be.
I feel so much guilt right now because a couple days ago, I saw Bruce do this level, and literally, like, not the same day, but relatively earlier before that, I found a glitch where there is a cage in this level that only opens when you have all of the secret keys or whatever,
Mhm.
and that cage activates a platform that moves you to a route that basically just like dash panel
finishes
and
the stage.
launchers you all the way outside the arc. Like you're climbing around the space portion of it, and it just fast forwards you straight to the goal ring. And I feel bad
Yeah.
that Bruce was the only person I was able to show a glitch that you can use to activate that platform without getting the keys. So I'm sorry, Lauren and Sid, that I did not share that with you. I wish that I had known beforehand.
Oh, I would have suffered through it regardless.
I mean, it's part of the experience.
I'm not
I
sorry
pro-
to Matt because I know he would have rejected that advice. But,
I'm not here to have a good time. I'm here to have a time.
To be fair,
You know
I
what,
probably
though?
should have experienced this stage normally.
nobody should have to experience this stage normally.
Well, I don't know.
Hey, wait
it's
a
like-
minute. Wait a minute. Why have you brought us all here today, Devin?
Because I want you to suffer pain. There's a difference between wanting to and having to.
The stage was
okay.
made to cause people pain. The stage was made to make the world just a little bit worse. And I would not
Literally.
deny it of its purpose.
Literally, it's meant to do that to Shadow, because it's meant to make Shadow, it's to reaffirm his hatred of humanity, and it makes me hate humanity too.
Diegetic
Yeah, because
gameplay.
humans made the
What do you
stage for
know?
some fucking reason.
Damn you, Yuji Naka! You can't keep getting away with this.
But
No,
he didn't,
but,
in fairness. But
True, but that
And-
was
True, yeah.
that's a
and the
spoil-
best part,
that's a spoiler.
the best part is we're doing the best mission on this, because having to go through this maze back and forth either to kill all the gun soldiers or to drop healing pods on all of the injured researchers, that would be so much worse. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good. I think I might have done one of the other routes just for one of the other runs that I did, and it's
Nobody should do that.
it's not the best in the world. I was gonna mention something though. Oh, it was funny because it was the transition to get to the stage. We didn't even mention it. Stretchy knife shadow. What's that all
Oh
about?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
You
That's
grab,
great.
If you grab a knife from one of these gun soldiers, Shadow's arms and legs stretch out like crazy when he swings it. It's really funny.
Or you have the glitch too, which is you shouldn't be doing it for this run anyway, right? But it's like if you get the knife from the guards with the knife, right? But if you throw the healing barrel at them, they like salute kind of at you, but they like stab themselves with the knife.
Yeah. Polished game.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I don't
Yes, that's
think,
exactly what I think of when I think of this game polished.
Yeah, I mean,
First
I
one
mean-
that comes to mind.
I mean, I don't know what other opinion you could have.
what could be more polished than taking the story that... Okay, well, I wouldn't say it made entirely sense in SA2, but we got there in the end.
It
What
really
could be more
didn't.
polished than taking that story and then saying that in the midst of all that, Shadow had to fight off a tank between the raid and Maria's death?
Now wait a minute.
I mean-
Remember. There's no saying that actually happened.
Yeah, I know.
True. True.
True.
Point.
Well, I'm glad we cleared up the game's one flaw.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yes.
tank level.
I was just trying
You weren't
to
even-
transition into this boss. It's
True.
Heavy Dog, which I guess
love-
implies
that's a-
that Gun's tech has progressed backwards in the past 50 years.
It's the Star Wars phenomena.
Oh,
I was shocked to hear SA2 boss music. Like,
Yeah.
what?
That was interesting.
Which honestly made it one of the more notable tracks I heard during playing the game.
Yeah, it would.
It's like, oh, this
Yeah.
is Bigfoot or Hotshot, whatever. Both of them use
those,
soundtrack. Actually, does Flying Dog, the Rouge boss, did that use it too? Is it getting used 3
I
times? in that
can't
game?
remember, but probably.
I would assume
Um,
so.
I'd assume so if this is just Flying Dog too.
Well, the boss itself is fine, I guess. I don't like the particle cannon because it can blindside you.
I think this
mean,
was
they
one of the
kinda-
more
they-
enjoyable boss fights for me.
I'll go out and say this is one of the best bosses in the whole game.
Yeah, like I
Agreed.
actually had a little bit of fun with this, which is more than I can say about any other boss.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I what I don't like about the cannon is just that it can hit you at above or below, which I feel is annoying. But the
Sure.
strength is that you just homing attack spam it until it drops a rocket launcher, and once you get one, you can just go to town.
And it's the
Right.
fun like lock-on rockets too, which are really fun because it like hits all the different nodes on them and whatnot.
It's
just
like I'm
feels
really
so
back in Gamma's story.
It's one of the few bosses where the too many explosions is on your side this time instead of the enemies having too many explosions.
Mhm.
We haven't really gotten, obviously, because Shadow's like, I want answers. We haven't gotten much information on the Black Arms. We got a little tidbit here where Doom's Eye is like, humans, they kill each other. It's so pointless. Like, that's interesting. He's either lying, which is totally possible, but it would be, I'm more likely to believe that somehow the Black Arms don't kill each other, which could mean a number of things. Either they're like a perfect society that's completely solved, or like
A hive.
That's
yes,
what I was
a
thinking. They're a
hive.
hive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
That's what I
thinking
was
they're probably
thinking.
a hive mind.
You know,
Yeah.
that's actually kind of cool. I'm glad you picked up on that because thinking about that right now, the implication, right, that if you're paying attention to it, of what might that mean for Shadow if he keeps up with this, right, is pretty damning.
Yes.
And that's pretty cool because already you do kind
Yeah.
of notice this, the further you go along that he does kind of lose his sense of will, that he's lost himself, and that is exacerbated by this little hint of tease. And
The
and
true
part of me
ending
is
has
like,
a piece of
just-
that as well.
Yeah,
Right.
really.
Yeah,
Interesting.
So yeah, surprisingly half decent follow up to a really horrible level.
Yeah.
Do we actually see Maria die here? Or do we just cut straight to the president and commander?
No, we don't see it.
Okay.
No.
You see it in a different cutscene later, but not
Okay.
this one, I guess.
The next cutscene. I don't have anything that much to say about the cutscene. The president does steal another wistful glance at the desk photo, which is funny. They're
Weird,
heading.
because
they're-
Commander right here?
the general looks at the photo too, and I was like, "What is he gonna like slap it off the table because he hates them?" No, he doesn't.
That'd be
Oh, I
really
wish.
funny, though.
That would be
That should've
really good.
That should have been in the modded version that you were using. They like
I
edit
need the
this.
cut where the general just eats the photo in front of the president.
listen. I have seen people working on cutscene modding for this game, which would be hilarious.
Ooh,
Yeah, so I need one where the general eats the photo.
Jesus.
gosh.
Incredible.
But
yeah,
I don't
they're-
remember much from this cutscene though, to be honest.
No, I mean it's nothing much, but they're heading to a secure gun stronghold via a giant flying platform, but they're piloting an escape pod that's like a plane, except it is on a rail on the platform.
Yeah.
This is Airfleet with the most hilarious mission in the game, where Shadow the Hedgehog is assigned to kill the president.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You know.
It's in character, you know.
I actually, in the process of recording the True Dark footage for this video series, I actually tried to do this mission. The Reloaded mod makes it a huge pain in the ass. So I had to redo the mission, like, more than 10 times, because it speeds up the escape pod like crazy.
Oh no.
You know, the more I
It's
hear
like-
about this Reloaded mod, the more it sounds like kind of like shit.
Yeah.
It
Right.
makes some things better and some things worse. This is my problem with a lot of fan modifications and remakes, is that if it's for a game that's not good, you need to get the mod to be made by someone who doesn't already like the game.
I mean, fair enough.
Who's gonna make a mod?
Wait, hold on. It's like, does that mean
True.
do I make a mod for it? Because it's like I kind of like it, but also kind of hate it. So it's like,
I need the
am
Lauren
I
cut of
good?
Shadow the Hedgehog.
It,
Give me
it
the
needs to
Lauren
be
cut.
like the Star Wars despecialized editions where you have an intense love for it, but you're also bitter about it.
Sure.
Anyway, so we're not
Fair
actually
enough.
doing that mission, though. We're just doing the neutral mission here. But it's
True.
really funny that they have a mission in this game where you murder the president.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, and there's a moment when Tails shows up and he's like, Shadow, we're in trouble. The aliens are after the president's escape pod. And I'm like, if you're playing the dark mission, that's like very dark. Like, oh, he
Tails
doesn't
is-
realize.
Yeah, Tails is like, oh, the president's in danger, Shadow. Shadow just quietly says, I know.
Because you just told me, Fox Boy!
It's very,
Ah!
well, we had that in the neutral path a little bit. We have it in this one. Why does the bee and Tails like they look up and like admire Shadow so much, and I
He's
don't
cool.
understand. I don't know. It's like this guy's kind of an asshole. Like
Because he's
I mean,
cool.
I don't know. I liked Vegeta.
They like the
growing
way
up.
he'll just straight up
He's an
murk
asshole.
people.
Yeah, Tails wants to murk people.
I mean, I guess
True.
it's the same appeal to Vegeta, and I always liked Vegeta. growing
Yeah, I
up. So
mean,
guess
exactly.
I guess it's, and I mean, I did get this game as a kid, so I guess I was actually like Tails. Like, it's a weird meta narrative
Yeah.
thing where it's like, yeah, this guy's not cool.
Yeah, Tails is the player.
And
Ah,
yeah.
yeah.
all
Play the
this-
game. You are Tails.
Ah, yes.
Well, they certainly try to make Tails just a little bit more appealing to the target demographic, because all the characters, as I've mentioned before, are like twisted just a little bit. Tails has a line about the aliens. There's like, they're like a swarm of bees. We have to kill them all, or the president's dead for it.
Yes.
Like, just casually saying murder everyone.
Yeah,
Well,
I
my
mean,
favorite...
Kill a swarm of bees.
when I
right?
think of Tails, the first thing I think of is genocide. So
Yeah, but you know
I mean,
what?
in a
though?
joking
Tails-
manner, but this is overt, and it throws. him
Tails
for the
doesn't
loop.
get to swear though, and that's what's the unfortunate part.
My
we need
favorite
Tails
bit-
saying "Damn, not here."
My favorite bit with Tails, I want to add, by the way, Tails, the voice actress for him from Sonic X, she's probably better than just getting a different young boy to voice him. Finally, he's just voiced by an adult woman, so it doesn't have to change every couple of years. But every line he has in this game, you can hear his microphone peaking, which is really annoying. Fully aware, hey kettle, name's pot, but still. I'm not a professional voice director, so I'm allowed to complain about it for other people.
Not yet.
Anyway, Airfleet, it is a Flying
fine.
Fortress level, and on the neutral path, it's okay sometimes. There is some dubious platforming.
Fuck the elevators.
The elevators.
I don't even remember the elevators.
Oh well, there's one elevator at the end that's really bad.
Yeah.
Because they have a bunch of like floating enemies at you, and you can't really
Yep.
dodge them super easily. And if you don't have a gun, you're just a sitting duck.
Oh, the
Maybe I just
knockback
had a-
elevator.
So long.
Maybe I just
Yeah.
had a gun and I just didn't struggle.
The thing is also is if you're like, oh, maybe I'll just jump off. It's like if you mess up the jump too, you just fall down a bottomless pit and die, which sucks because it's
Mm.
literally the last part of the level,
Yep.
which is pretty rough. So if you mess that up, you just missed out on the Chaos Emerald to finish this, and you have to
Right.
keep going.
Yeah.
Which is,
Well,
admittedly, it's not too much of a run back, but it's enough that like you're pretty mad.
It's
like,
enough
this-
that makes you question everything.
well, that's
It's just
that's,
that the elevator moves so damn slowly.
All the elevators
well,
in this game are
to be-
so slow.
To be
Yeah.
fair, I will defend the elevator speed at that point for one reason, and it's that it was intended for the dark run, so you can kill the president in his little plane. Is because they
Yeah,
give you one
fair.
last little shot to
Yeah.
do it and throw in some enemies. But
Fair
for
enough.
anything else, it sucks. Why isn't there like at that point, right? Oh, it's so slow. Give me a button to like make the elevator go faster. I don't care. Like they do this
We
in
need the
other
good people elevator and the
levels.
bad people elevator.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Um,
it'd be different tracks of the level you go through.
We knew those in real life too.
That's a slippery
Yeah.
slope, Devin.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No,
Getting
but
spicy on Shadow the Hedgehog. No.
yeah, that's my primary frustration with this level, I'd say, is that you either have annoying ass elevator shit like that, or you're climbing on the outside of the thing, which
Yeah.
I think is the
Oh,
most
yeah.
visually interesting part of the level, because you've got like the sunset backdrop. The low-res textures on Dolphin are pretty easy to see, but it's not the game's fault. But then those are always over a bottomless pit, so it's a pain in the ass. So you're either
Yeah.
feeling really insecure about making your jumps, because this game has slippery controls, or you're just in bland industrial hallways.
I think I
Take
had
the
like I was
poison.
traumatized by that outside bit because like it was really bad looking back at it. Like it was not good. You know what was good though out there was the JPEG of the plane. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Kind of like in the neutral run. It sparked joy, but for the wrong reasons.
That's most of the way this game sparks joy.
Yeah.
I can't. You know what is cool though? Whether or not you're doing the runs or not, right? Because we're on neutral. It is kind of neat that they do give you branching paths of like, oh, you could take the good route or you could take the bad route. And because we don't really care what we're beating up, right? It's like you can pick whatever one you want, and it's like it's kind of neat. I enjoy it. Likewise, I don't remember it being a feature in too many of the other levels prior, but
Not
you know
really.
they have those little shortcut bits where if you have your power meter done all the way, whether it's villainous or hero, you can just like skip portions of the map by like grinding on like electrified rails because you have
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
ability.
You can also do that
Right.
with a shield. Did you guys know this game has elemental shields in it?
I think I've. Well, no,
I
I've
don't
only
think I
gotten a regular
get one.
shield.
Yeah,
Well, they have like a
there's
red
a
and
fire
blue
and
one.
electric shield in this game.
That's what that. Okay.
Oh,
I got
you
the
know what?
electric shield a few times. I didn't know about the fire one.
I got an electric shield last night and didn't even realize it.
It's so rare compared to like, Sonic 3 where they're
Sure.
everywhere.
Right.
I think you get some in the digital circuit, and I think it's noticeable in that if you get a fire shield when you're going through the little segments where you're like on the little
Oh, the
we'll
light
just call them
rails.
digital highways. Yeah, the little light
Mhm.
rails, right? How they have like the firewalls, which is kind of like a funny little joke.
Uh-huh.
How I think if you collide into one, normally you'd lose rings, right? But I think with the fire shield, you take like 2 hits from them, maybe extra. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, I think it protects
But it's
you.
not really it's not really relevant most of the time though. Like,
No,
and
this
I
game, this
honestly
game doesn't
couldn't
really have
remember when you could
elemental
get it on this
environments very
stage.
much, so.
What toxic sludge isn't an element from Prison Island?
Alright, anyway, so...
This isn't a Souls game.
Despite the
Oh my
dark
God.
path that we've been sent on, Shadow just runs to the end of this level and is suddenly asked to abandon the assassination and just like, hey Shadow, come to the Black Comet, some people are fucking shit up here. And so the camera just pans upward and suddenly Shadow is on the Black Arms home Black Comet.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
it's-
he's been chaos controlling all over the place, so
I guess that
tell
must
him
be
go
what
over
happens
there.
when
has
you're
because
in
like
the
he
goes
just
over
shows
there.
up places.
yeah.
Shadow's like a family member you never want to see.
Yeah. But it takes us to our final stage of the playthrough, which is just the Black Comet. And it's also that it sucks.
Well,
Yeah.
before we
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about like playing it,
Sure.
which I know is very key, let me first
Is it?
say that I very much appreciate that we have like a new environment for like a Sonic game. We get freaky alien growths with flesh walls, weird murky lakes, and tentacles all over the place. Like, I dig this. This is something new.
It is
for
interesting.
a
Yeah.
Sonic
It's
game.
scary and purple, and I don't dislike the aesthetic, that's true. And actually, you know what? I love the music to this level, too.
I'm gonna be honest. This was my favorite stage of this playthrough.
Wow.
Really?
Yes,
That's
Mhm.
high praise.
I
Yeah,
see a
that-
hoverboard. I get on hoverboard. I have fun.
Oh.
That's amazing, because you
Hmm.
didn't like it in Prison Island.
Oh no, I loved it. I was just crashing into everything.
Okay,
Oh, true.
Uh-huh.
yeah, so this
If you've
is...
seen anything about how I play games, you know I like crashing into things. Though
That's fair, actually, I should have figured. Yes, this is the hoverboard level.
hoverboard, the level, the game, the movie, the musical, the
It's
game.
the Sonic Riders prequel.
Oh no.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so you have to use that hoverboard off and on, but for most of the level, and whether you're running to the end for the hero mission or killing 50 goddamn gun soldiers for the dark mission,
Jesus fuck.
Yep.
you're gonna be using it a lot.
Honestly, I didn't even mind killing all the gun soldiers because I was too distracted by the fact that I was on hoverboard.
That's...
Wow, that's all you need to police it.
Oh.
I
It's-
hated that
Give me
objective.
explosion. Give me thing to crash into people with. Good time.
it's
The airing
the
for
Bruce and
that
Sid
objective
dichotomy.
was awful.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
Having to hunt down all 50 of those aliens on A-Ring is abysmal because the level is so long. I hate it. I think I timed it right, and it was like about like 8 minutes. No, it was 9 minutes. 9 minutes on the A rank. That's too damn long. It's like
Yeah.
it needed to be way less than that. It's like that's not okay.
Yeah, because
And
like
there's
if
a
you're
couple
not
moments
if you're
in there
doing
that are
not
rough.
well at a Sonic level, the maximum length of an act should be like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So that objective, I'm not too hot on. Just simply because there's so many of those enemies, and there's a couple really rude moments that I don't know, like if the developers just had like a really bad day at work when they were making some of these levels.
They did. They
Like-
were working on this game.
They had a couple of years. Or,
This
no,
game
a
was
year,
made
not a bad
during
year.
a perpetual crunch. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh
True.
yeah.
No, they were definitely having a terrible time, and it shows in this game.
But there's a hoverboard hallway that you have to do that's pretty rough, and that they mix up the enemies on there. And as you know, if you're trying to go for one of the two paths with a good rank,
For
you
some
really
reason.
shouldn't be killing the other side. Even just like for thematic reasons, like it doesn't make sense. And that mixed tunnel is so rude because they just like spawn in everywhere, a bunch of aliens, but then also gun enemies as well. And like we already know that the aim lock on isn't the best thing in the world. So you have to be like
Yeah.
really careful not to just like unload and kill everything in the room because you'll just get penalized for it. And on top of that, that specific hallway is really bad with the hover machine, just in that like you're
Yeah.
gonna take a lot of damage right there, and if you break it, you just die.
Yeah, I mean the whole
Because
reason you
it's
need
a-
the hoverboard is because the floor is toxic here, and you can just
Right,
it can get
yeah.
destroyed in that room really easily. So
It's not great. And to be fair, if you're not worried about rank, not too big of a deal because you just go back to the checkpoint and it's not that big of a deal. But because the level is so long, especially for that objective, and if you're trying to go for an A rank, you're gonna have to restart that whole level. I think I was doing this level for A rank for at least over an hour, just because I would keep dying at that spot, and there's like a spot later on where they like throw 3 elite aliens right at the end
yeah,
and like block a doorway, and they just like
Mhm.
gun you down right before you get to a safe spot, and it's
the
soul crushing.
yeah,
But
the
that's only for that objective.
the sole spot of enjoyment to counteract all that is that you can get the chain gun in this level, and I love the chain.
Yes.
Any level with
Oh,
the chain
yeah.
gun, immediately, well, you go up a rank.
Yeah.
This level had everything I liked about the video game. Hoverboard and the chain gun.
I also appreciate somebody doing fine, like not writing him as a complete idiot, but actually just making him funny. When Knuckles shows up, he declares proudly that he will tear apart the entire comet with his bare hands. And I believe that he would try to do that.
Oh yes, he totally
In
would.
character.
Yeah, I mean, this game doesn't have a
You
lot
would
of
try and
opportunities
succeed.
to ruin characters other than Shadow, so it ends up looking
That's
okay
true.
for many.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you know, we finally see what the ruckus wrecking havoc on the comet was. I guess it could have been partially Knuckles, but it's also Sonic, along with the gun commander for some reason.
Yeah, they're still friends.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
they got coffee after SA2.
Yeah, they play video games together on Fridays.
And because we did the Dark Mission for this playthrough, this is going to be our final boss. It is Sonic and Diablon, which is the name of the gun commander's mech that he's piloting.
Which I was very caught off guard by that name.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you
a-
know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because I
reaffirming-
spent so much time in like the Diablo franchise, but I see something good named Diablon and I'm just confused.
Well,
Fair.
I mean,
Yeah.
good? Really? The guy is
Good
kind
from
of-
the game's perspective.
Okay, yeah, just because it
Yeah.
calls it good route in quotes.
Yeah,
What's the alternative, right? Like wiping out all of humanity versus like gun as an organization is kind of icky. You know what I mean? It's like
I mean that's
Lesser
that's
of
a
two
pretty clear
evils
50-50
is-
to me.
One of them is still potentially evil. I mean, I'm not
True.
saying Gun is overtly evil, but the guy starts
I am.
out being like, "You're the one who destroyed the Ark and killed everyone on it." So like right out the offset, it's obvious that he's not quite right in the head.
right.
Yeah, which we'll see more
Well,
of next week.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Shadow should have asked him his source.
so this this boss fight is a slog. I don't like it. The
I
intended
totally agree.
this is partially a me issue, but I want to know if anybody else had anything remotely resembling this experience. So the intended strat here is that Diablon won't actually attack you because it's floating above you. So you're supposed to homing attack Sonic, he'll jump, you'll use him as a stepping stone, Diablon will take down his shields to take a swing at you, and then you'll hit him in the head, and probably mash the homing attack button because he has a lot of health and you're just wanting to get it over with.
Yep, that's exactly what I did.
In most playthroughs, this works semi-normally. For me, on the Black Comet here, for some reason, Sonic would not jump when I homing attacked him. He would always just get knocked back and go, ugh! And
I would have him not jump a lot, but I would just keep on trying to do it, and eventually it happened enough times, but a lot of times he was just falling on the ground.
Yeah, that doesn't give you enough height to hit the commander.
Yeah.
Which I want to add, when he takes a swing at you, he'll usually say, "Stay still, you devil!" Which, you're the one piloting fucking Diablo. But,
Yeah.
Delusional, like I said.
He's speaking from experience.
What it is for some reason, on this version of the fight specifically, you have to double homing attack Sonic, and he'll immediately recover from the ground and jump to give you the platform up to hit him, which is why when Sid just kept mashing the button, it worked. But I didn't make that connection, and so I got stuck here for a really long time, which is why there's enough footage for this whole episode, which there wasn't for last week.
Oof.
Well, obviously, I very intentionally realized that is what was happening, and was not just keeping on mashing because I turned my brain off.
I feel like I disagree. I don't know if it's like something with the mod or something, or maybe I just didn't make that connection, but I have done this fight quite a bit now. And I will say that the first time going through it, I had a pretty bad time. I wrote down how it was just too slow, just wasn't really fun. It just kind of went on forever. It took me like over 7 minutes to beat it, and I think I might have died at one point, so really it was even longer than 7 minutes. It wasn't great. But that being said, though, I had to redo it immediately afterwards because I wanted to see, I think it was for rank, because it's actually a different ending as a different boss. But I don't know, it's like I don't understand the problem. Was that because I was able to do it in like, I think 3.5 minutes, and it's just like, you just kind of get in a groove of just like bouncing on his head, because I don't think you really need to do the 2 double hits on Sonic. You really only need to do 1, and you just kind of lock onto his head and bounce like 2 or 3 times. He pulls up the shield, you bounce on Sonic, he goes for another hit, and then you just rinse and repeat. I almost want to do a run of it and show you.
Well, you'll
like,
see the footage when it goes up how I'm trying to do this boss, and Sonic is just standing there staring at me.
You know, honestly, I believe you, and it could just be that the game is just, you know, like it's crapping out, because I think we have a boss
later
that I have problems with that I don't think anyone else did, where it was basically along those lines where it didn't do what it was supposed to be doing. And based off of a lot of the other things in this game, it's like, you know, that's fair. That's a reasonable thing to happen. It's like, I didn't see it, and like, generally speaking, I had an okay time minus the first run, but like, I'd buy it though. I think that's one thing that I'm like conflicted with, right? Because I don't mind this boss fight too much. The problem is though that out of all the bosses I've done, this is the longest boss. And that is something against this, because like Egg Breaker's pretty fast, Egg Dealer's pretty fast. I don't like Egg Dealer, and I don't really like Egg Breaker. But like,
I think
Diablon is a slower fight, but
don't give it a shield. Don't give it a force field. I hate that shit in every boss, actually.
Yeah.
In every video game, I never that's never a thing I like.
I'd argue that it's like, it's no different than like you play another Sonic game, right? And it's like you're not allowed to hit Eggman yet.
Yeah, and I hated those games too.
Yes, I don't like that design of boss.
I see.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't have any problem with it, because you just kind of get into a groove of it. But like, it's not new to the series. It's something they've done before. Like
It's a mistake they need to stop making. Anyway, yeah. So
it's something they didn't do a whole much in this game. It's just weird that they suddenly
whipped it up for this fight.
Let's do it like that. Yeah.
That is fair. I don't think there's much else to say though. I didn't really remember.
Yeah, let's push through our 1 minute ending here, where well, frankly, it's like it's a toss-up between the endings. I think this may have the worst quality endings overall in terms of like overall enjoyment, or at least uniqueness. The dark ending is, you know, the one that we agreed to do, where Sonic basically just asks why Shadow's such a bastard, and Shadow says, "It's because I'm a bastard." And that's it. He's like, "I'm gonna be the Dark Prince of the Black Arms," and that's it.
And then he refuses to kill Sonic because they can't kill Sonic.
Yeah, you don't get any karate chop cut to black here.
Yeah, despite this game really likes to make you think you get to kill Sonic,
which is a real shame.
It just didn't have the guts.
They really should have just done it.
Yeah, it would have been fine. You can bring him back later. That's what happened with Shadow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and they're willing to
we can get the
Eggman
Sonic identity crisis arc.
Because
I wanna
let's talk about the hero ending. I know we said to do the dark one.
boy.
Oh my
But-
god, I was gonna ask to say that. Oh my god.
The hero ending is hilarious.
Well, remember, the hero ending for the hero boss raid is Egg Dealer.
Yes.
Yeah, Eggman just waltzes up. It's like, hey, Shadow, give me the Chaos Emeralds.
It
I
just
want them.
airdrops a Robotnik on you.
Yeah.
After
I
an
think
entire playthrough, he was in one level. No, okay, it was one level and a boss, but his presence
True.
did not mean anything. And
At least
you
the
can
neutral
tell.
path, he was a little bit present, you know what I mean? But this is
Wait,
just like...
made way
Yeah.
more sense than the neutral path.
Yeah, neutral path. He was the big thing. Like he was the main thing
Mhm.
Shadow was interacting with, arguably.
You can absolutely
Sure.
tell. You can absolutely tell here that they could not figure out a way to connect this one because A, he shows up out of nowhere, but B, when you defeat him, Shadow's central thesis, the "this is who I am" moment that he gets across all of these endings, is nobody can tell me what to do. I'm going to kill you.
Eggman is literally like, what? Right before he dies, too.
Yeah, he doesn't know what you're talking about either.
When I got that scene, I think I was like irrationally angry. Like I was mad. Like I think I shouted out. It was like, "No, you can't do this to me." It's like I went all the way through, and you're gonna give me Eggman. I was like,
Who could blame you?
and I can't remember. Oh gosh, that makes it worse. I think what happened was that I did the hero end first before the evil path, and so you have all this build up with Black Doom and whatnot, and you just get Eggman. And I had to replay it because I was so pissed. It's like, no, that can't be it. There has to be a better ending. And thank God they have Diablo, and for whatever it's worth. And so maybe I like it slightly more
Yeah, that
because
was-
you get shafted.
That was why I started to do the
Right.
Dark Mission, is because it at least fits a little bit better.
I was gonna do both anyway, but I didn't catch specifically for that one, or maybe I might have like accidentally went into the wrong one because that happens sometimes where it's
Yeah.
like you grab the wrong thing. You're like, oh man. But I'm
Yeah,
glad we
it's-
mentioned that because that so mad.
We need to cover both routes on each ending because almost always when we don't choose to cover together is just whack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've done well
but
so far,
basically we're done and we get the credits theme for this
Yeah.
end.
This
Yeah.
one uses Almost Dead, which is some kind of power metal sort of thing, I guess. I don't like it.
It's okay. It's not my
Fine.
favorite.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's
It's my least
you
favorite
know.
vocal track in the game, and it gets used twice. It's the only one that gets reused.
mm.
I noticed that I was really confused looking up the ending tracks earlier because like typically for the other side, right? It's like you have like one for the true good and one for regular good and neutral, but like they share evil for both, and it just seems
Yeah.
kind of lazy. It's like couldn't you get another one? But it's like whatever.
I guess they couldn't figure out how to meaningfully distinguish between them. All the more reason not to make it like this, but sorry.
Yeah, I digress. It's fine. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not as good as what we had last week, though. Yeah, waking
Yeah,
up.
so,
Waking up was good. Yeah.
Neutral Dark playthrough. On the one hand, I think in a lot of ways it's more interesting than the neutral playthrough. On the other hand, I also got a lot more frustrated.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
entirely fair. That's about
Yeah,
what I felt
that-
about it.
Yeah, that really is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had
didn't
higher
mean to-
highs, I had lower lows.
Yeah. I guess I get what I asked for. Is that last week I was upset that you had 4 levels where 2 of them seemed way too similar to the other 2 to a degree, and I didn't really like that very much. And generally speaking, every level in this run was fairly unique. It was a different
very
aesthetic
definitely.
each time.
Yeah.
But that
They
being
just
said,
weren't
though, the
particularly
level of
good.
quality was wild.
Yeah.
all over the place. Yeah, I don't mind every stage. I think that if they just turned down the bloom on the computer level, I wouldn't even mind the visuals on that. But I don't know.
It's a C. You get a C for that run. We haven't
You know
ranked them, but it's a
Well, yeah.
it's a C.
Yeah.
C is passing though. That's the problem.
Well, I don't know if I'd give it a fail
Well, it's
though,
a C.
because
It's a C by this game standards.
yeah, because it's like
okay.
then it gets into the semantics of the neutral run, right? Where it's like, would you guys give a passing grade to the neutral run?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Not
that's fair.
really.
They just both fail. It's like no, they're both.
It's
bad.
it's a
Get outta
failing
here.
C, and the other one's
I
like
would
a
say-
failing B minus.
I would say the neutral run was an F, and this is a D.
Really? That's
Yeah.
pretty harsh.
All right, well,
I think we're done with the run though, for sure.
yeah,
There's nothing else
we can
left.
see if
Yeah.
we get more D next week with the neutral hero route. I'm sorry, that was terrible. I shouldn't have done that. That's
You're right.
Listen, I have a bi-weekly obligation to go for the least inspired jokes possible.
Well, you're doing great so far.
You are no one to talk. You do this shit too.
You can't prove anything.
Listen,
Yeah, but we like it when Bruce does it.
Hey.
it's part of the gimmick. It's part of the dynamic where I do it and get ridiculed. Bruce does it and mostly doesn't, and Lauren is exasperated with all of us.
Yeah.
So tune in next time for more of all that.
Yay.
I'm just trying to speedrun giving Lauren gray hairs.
That is...
Thanks.
We're done. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to find us anywhere else for questions, comments, criticism, or feedback, we have a link tree in the description. We will be back next week with another playthrough. I hope you all have a great rest of your night, have a great rest of your week, and take care.